right, man. Welcome back to Agree to Disagree. And if you're new, welcome to Agree to Disagree. Hey, Lloyd, Craig, BG, we got Pops. All right, man, let's get into it. So, we haven't done a WNBA in a little while, so I think it's perfect time to kind of touch back with it. There's actually been a lot of drama inside the WNBA. Obviously, they don't get the clout and recognition that they deserve, but for basketball fans, like true basketball fans, women's and men, it's actually been kind of cool to see where all these players have made somewhere home and now moving on. So this next season is going to be crazy, man. I can't wait to watch it. But on another note, man, I got a question for y'all, man. Who is your guys' GOAT in the WNBA? Now, before I ask you guys, I'm going to let you guys know right now because I know how this is going to go. I'm going to say my GOAT. Y'all can say y'all GOAT. It could be from 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. All right? We have different generations on this platform, okay? In this Zoom meeting on this show. So I just want to clarify that before we get into it. All right? So we're going to start with you, Pop. Who is your GOAT in the WNBA?
My GOAT. Well, see, this is kind of tough since I have to give y'all some popology because I'm the elder statesman on here. You know, that's a tough one because there's been, I mean, like when you got to start with Houston. But when you start with Houston, you got Cynthia Cooper with 4 championships. But you forget that Cheryl Swoops was on that team. And she was the first woman to have her own shoe coming into this. Now, there you go to a Lisa Leslie, who was a transcending player, unguardable, first woman to dunk in a game. I mean, has 1 chip. Then you got a Diana Taurasi, who is still dominating the league and have 1 chip. And then, you got so many players from an era that there's really never been a real dominant era, like somebody really dominating the game, like a Michael Jordan. And so that's tough. But for me, because she was so it has to be, for me, it has to be Lisa Leslie. Because, I mean, the thing she did on the court, the way she carried herself on and off the court, I mean, the girl was dominant. I mean, she flat out dunked in a game. And you had to send a double and triple team in her. She was Shaquille O'Neal. But now, like I said, when you go to that other thing, I mean, then you need to realize like a Sue Bird. And Sue Bird is still the best point guard in the WNBA at 40. So that's kind of hard. But for me, I gotta go with Lisa Leslie.
I respect that, man. I respect that. And it is tough. It is. I agree with you, man. It is tough just because there's multiple women that have paved the way for the WNBA, right? Kind of like Michael Jordan has done in the NBA. But to narrow it down to one, that's tough.
It's tough.
I can agree with you on Lisa Leslie. That's who I was going to say. What you got for me, BG?
I agree, man. Pops, I'm with you on this one. And to me, it's growing up, like, watching her play. Obviously, you hear everything about her in her high school days, dropping over 100. But to me, it's just I actually watched her play. Not that I don't watch the WNBA, but when I was younger, it was something about her. Like Pop said it best. She's a transcending talent, and you're watching her play and the things she could do. And obviously, all the accolades she has: 2-time champ, 2-time Finals MVP, 3-time league MVP. All the gold medals, Defensive Player of the Years. Like she did it all. But I agree with Pop's statement too, and I think we could all agree on it. It's not an easy conversation, right? It's not like, you know, somebody's so ahead above everybody else. But I mean, to me personally, like Pop said, to me personally, I actually watched her play. I enjoyed watching her play. I enjoyed watching the Sparks at that time. And, you know, I think, like I said, for me, just like how I feel about Kobe and the GOAT in the NBA, it's what they did for the game, as well as, you know, all the stats that they brought along with it. So, Pops, I'm with you on this one. I'm taking Lisa Leslie, but it's very arguable, right? Very arguable for sure.
Craig?
I agree with him. Lisa Leslie.
There it is.
Can't argue that. I looked at the stats. Some of the stats Ryan said were legit. And one thing I'm going to piggyback what Pop said, they won the championship and they snapped Houston's 4-year championship winning streak and won back-to-back. And we also got to remember, too, and one thing I think we can all agree on her is because the NBA is really not that old. I mean, WNBA is really not that old. So we can all argue that she's still part of all of our generations, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's one of the reasons why we can, you know, recognize that she's one of the best players, man. And she represents LA, you know, USC. And then I can't forget what the great Dr. Jerry Buss said. He said, hey, man, when they told me to, you know, if I was going to start an NBA team, I want the best player in the world. And he drafted her, you know what I'm saying? So I'm happy that she was part of the, you know, Lakers organization for a long time. And I'm not going to go into the stats, but I mean, she had a 13-year career and she dominated all 13 years. You know, she could have kept on playing, you know? So, I mean, everybody said a lot of good things, but I think it's hard to argue that she's not the best.
All right, everybody. Everybody put their seatbelt on for this one.
Nobody's tripping so far, Pop.
Ain't nobody tripping right now. Y'all ain't gonna figure it out.
Go ahead, Jay.
Where you at?
I can't disagree with y'all.
He's trying.
It was. I felt the same way, and I kind of still do. But when I looked at the stats, I said, "Man, Cheryl Swoops had 3 MVPs and 4 championships. She had 3 MVPs and 4 championships, but she had no Finals MVPs. That hurt her. Cynthia Cooper had 2 MVPs.
Can't be early.
She had 4 Final MVPs though, 4 of them, and they won the first 4 years of the league. Ain't nobody brought Lauren Jackson. She won MVP 3 times.
Yeah.
And she kind of was the one that kind of gave Lisa Leslie the most trouble in her prime with Seattle. But I'm with y'all, man. Lisa Leslie was the most balanced, man. 3 MVPs. She won 2 Finals MVPs, and she won 2 championships. I thought she had the most balanced career. The only person that I could think has been comparable would be Maya Moore. But Maya Moore obviously walked away from the game for personal reasons. People are going to argue Diana Taurasi, man, but I don't think she's done enough individually to warrant being in this conversation. Because Kelly Poindexter, when they played back in the day, was arguably the best player on that team. So, yeah, man, I want to fight y'all, man, because all y'all brought up Lisa. Shout out to all the people that support our channel too, because we get a chance to watch all these games again. And I think by watching all these games, I'm like, yo, she's had the most balanced career. Craig said it. She was good and strong all the way through, and easily could have kept playing, but passed that torch to Candace, man. So one of the rare episodes is unanimous, but I got to go with Lisa myself.
Can I add something before you go, B?
Yep.
I just want to talk about Maya Moore real quick, man. Just no. I still think Lisa, she's the GOAT. She's the GOAT. But I watched Lisa growing up a little bit, but I didn't really get into women's basketball until I saw Maya Moore play. And that was in UConn, man. And like I really loved her game. Like the same way you run home to watch a Kobe game. If girls UConn was on, like I'm sitting there watching that, man. Like I remember watching her at UConn and then going over to the Lynx. I was blessed to see her play. Joy, Jay Lloyd hooked me up with some tickets, so I got to see her play. But that's just my goal. I know Lisa's the goal. That's just my goal because she taught me to love WNBA basketball, man. Like that's my favorite player. Like to this day, I hope she comes back. I hope all is well with her. But we couldn't have this GOAT topic without me even mentioning her name. So that's all I want to throw out there, man.
No, man, on the real, man, you're right. I mean, I think the only thing that really hurt Maya, she walked away for game for personal reasons. Maya was devastating. Maya was just Lord. But when you really look back, and I still think the WNBA is still scratching the surface. I mean, I think it was been like 20 years or plus years. But the thing is, when you go to, like, even when you think about Cheryl Swoops, man, she had her own shoe. In the shadow. And I think going forward, I really think, especially the way girls basketball and women's basketball is going, I really think that the sponsors really need to get into, like you said, like, why the girls don't have a Maya Moore shoe or a Lisa Leslie shoe or I mean, the same thing. We got the Kobe's, the Kyries, the KD's, the LeBrons. We got the MJs. Come on, man. It's really time to really step it up for these women. They need, if they doing their own thing, then let them do their own thing. Because we got a lot of young ladies and girls that are coming up that are playing the game. And I think there's some girl out there who say, hey, what you got on? Oh, I got on some DTs. What are those? Oh, Diana Taurasi. I think that would really, you got to really start promoting it. I mean, you got to bring, give them women they props, man. Stop playing this game. Give them women they props.
Go ahead, BG.
I agree 100%, Pops. Give them their props, man. They're out there hooping, but I think Jared and Pops for me said the right words, and I wanted to piggyback off what Jared said about just the balance of her career. I think that's something I was trying to get out and explain too. But so I did the same thing, Jay. I went back and looked at the stats, but all the stats there are great. But when you look at it, like you said, the longevity, obviously not, she didn't play that long, but when she did play, she was out there dominating, was, the top player, if not the top player at the time. So I just wanted to touch on that. I think that's the key word, balance. And then what Pop said about, just how she transcended the game and how good she was, man. Like just straight up, she was a hooper. Like, and I know people out there think guys could always be girls. Let me tell you something. It's not true. It's not true at all. So, but yeah, I just wanted to touch on that topic.
Lisa was tough, man. And Lisa would fight. I mean, girl with the more high. She gonna throw them.
I saw a quote. I think it was today or yesterday actually, where she said, "I wear my lipstick, but I can still ball."
Oh yeah.
Like, don't listen. I'll wear my lipstick, but I can still get down. Like, okay, cool.
And Jared brought up a good point about Lauren Jackson, man. I forgot about her. Lauren Jackson went, she was, man, she was no joke, but it, like I said, even like now, man, I mean, the best point guard in women's basketball right now is still Sue Bird.
Sue Bird.
At 40.
Bird out there.
Well, she's 40 and still the baddest point guard in the league. So, hey, I get it. But Lisa, we got you, girl. We got you.
Did you want to add something, Jay?
Yeah, just really quick. I know we got to wrap it up, man, but the one thing I want to talk about, too, that I think is something for us to all think about. I think what also hurt the WNBA, as I did my research, too, which some people probably would disagree with me, is I think they expanded too quickly. When I watched the games from back in the day, they didn't have as many teams. They had local markets. They had Portland, they had LA. They had the markets with the largest fan bases, the NBA fan bases. But I think because they were selling out arenas at the time, because man, them games back then look completely different than these games I see before the bubble right now, right? I just think they expanded too early. So I know that's going to be a topic, obviously, Coach, for another show, but it kind of caught while we were talking about the greatest of all time, because I think the exposure to these women is, yeah, there's social media now, but it's just a different flow than it was back then, where everybody seemed a lot more involved in the product because people have more support because there weren't as many teams. So we all gonna rock with this team. With now, obviously, like the NBA, they're trying to expand and have more markets. And I think it hurt them a little bit because you had Tulsa, you had markets that I don't know if those were the best markets at the time. But that was just my thought when I was thinking about the greatest of all time. We think about the greatest of all time, and these people have had markets. Tim Duncan and Lauren Jackson are comparable to me because people really don't know about Lauren Jackson, I think, because of the market. Tim Duncan, to the novice, people don't really mention him in the GOAT conversations because of the market he played in. But if you look at his accomplishments, it's debatable, man. He should be in those conversations, but he played for the Spurs. So I still have to say that I look at the women's game in general, and that's where it kind of takes me to as well.
Yeah, very well put, Jay. Also, let us know down in the comments, man, who you guys think is the GOAT. Everyone's opinion is different. There might be a little LA bias on here, some might say, but we all agreed on Lisa Leslie. We agreed, which is something very rare. So, yeah, man, let us know down in the comments. Who's your GOAT? Did we forget to mention somebody? Not like an honorable mention, like I did for Maya Moore. Did we forget anybody? Let us know down in the comments. But thanks for watching. This is Agree to Disagree. I'm my boy Jay Lloyd, Craig, BG, Pops.
They all agreed, America. They all agreed. They're coming around.
And I'm John, man. Until next time, we out.